Alright, folks, so we're going to talk about diamond selling rap albums, which basically means they sold 10 million copies in America. The newest addition to this is Nelly's Country Grammar, which if you didn't know, I was kind of unaware of how well this album had sold, but really it's been 16 years since Country Grammar came out. And if you remember it in particular, the amount of singles that were released from that project, there were at least 3, but there actually was like a 4th one. Nelly was pretty big at the time, but I personally, my thoughts to this is Nelly is really the only person aside from Eminem who has done this. Tupac, you can't really count Life After Death and All Eyes on Me just because they were double albums. And they count as 2 copies sold for 1 album sold because it's a double album. And I think Tupac's Greatest Hits is another one. So, really, the information that you get from this is MC Hammer, Eminem Show, Marshall Mathers LP, and then this album, Country Grammar. Not many rap albums have done it, and I think reflecting on some of the ones, I wouldn't be surprised to see Get Rich or Die Tryin' become a diamond-selling album. May not happen this year, may not happen next year, but I'd say probably by like maybe 2023, it'll probably be diamond. So just in time for the 20th anniversary of it. Obviously, if there are people who are anticipating this, it's not so much it's more of a celebration to the artist, but you can also celebrate to this just because it's another rap album that, you know, people across the globe know who it is. As far as rap albums, who I'd say, well, people know who Eminem is, they know who Dr. Dre is, they know who Snoop Dogg is. Given the direction that Nelly has gone in, I would probably say if his later albums would have had more hits on them, he probably would have been, you know, a continued titan. But seeing as he is from Missouri, just like I am, it's kind of a celebration just because it's not necessarily just California and New York that do these sorts of things. So it's we're past the East Coast, West Coast movement. Well, it's kind of a celebration, just the fact that these sorts of things have happened. And my biggest thing about it is you definitely have to pay attention to what Country Grammar is. So with this album, it's very Southern, but at the same time, it kind of introduced a style. I haven't talked about the Nelly very much, but he did introduce kind of what he said, which was Country Grammar, kind of having that Southern influence and more country kind of, it's hard, hick type persona to yourself. Now, I mean, I don't remember the Nelly videos, but I'm pretty sure that he had a certain charisma about him, and it's definitely worthwhile to say. I don't want to sound like I'm just jumping on the bandwagon with this, but this is something that needs attention, just because I think once you get to the point of being diamond, most people, it speaks for themselves. You don't have to introduce something to them. Now, obviously, an album that goes 4 or 5 times platinum is like this, but guess what? Even this is not happening. So that's about the only thing, is paying attention to that and understanding what goes on. So really, you know, some of the songs, Nelly, all of the radio songs were pretty good. I definitely feel like he caught attention, but I do feel like maybe the album has lost some of the steam that it had, but to what it stands, it still is an important thing. And this is something that may not be noticed as much. Not too many people have reflected on the 10-year anniversary and the 15-year anniversary of Country Grammar, but it is an extremely, you know, well thought out thing, and that's a good part of it, as to what it did. I mean, this was before the Dirty South and all these different things were out, so really it was just kind of an in-between style, not knowing what to expect from the Midwest, but really you have to experience it to get a full-blown opinion on it, and that's really, you're not going to know what I'm talking about until you've heard 4 or 5 or 6 songs off the project, but it does feel important just because there weren't albums like it prior to. And I'd probably say that that goes with a lot of rap albums between the years of 2000 to 2002. The production just got much, much slicker between those years. The way that music was in 1998, 1999, you just didn't have these producers that were doing it left and right. And so, there, you know, there's just different sets and different sorts of audiences that came out, but the Nelly album escaped this. So that's definitely a thing. Unfortunately, like I was saying, the only other album I can see reaching diamond status is probably Get Rich or Die Trying. That's really about the only one. There might be like one other one, but I just don't know it. For the most part, I mean, Drake, Lil Wayne, Wiz Khalifa, none of these cats have gone past 3 times platinum. So that's really the thing is, you know, we've got to get things boosted. We need the all-encompassing experiences again as far as rap albums.